Alright, this is Grid Autosport's last fucking chance, right? Next time that this game makes the Elgato go to shit and glitch and lag and do all kinds of fucking dumb bullshit, I'm done with this game and we're moving on to Blur. In fact, if this recording doesn't work, I already have a video prepared explaining everything that will come out instead of this one if this one doesn't work, obviously. And then I'll just skip to my next Let's Play after this one, which will be Blur, provided that works. If that doesn't, then I'll have to do a PS2 game, because all the Elgato is able to run, all that actually works on the Elgato is PS2 games, apparently, because it's a piece of shit. So that's what's going on with that. Right, getting a result here. If I can even get it to work on the Elgato. I've fiddled with everything. I've unplugged things, blown dust off of them and plugged them back in. I've changed the USB slot that things are plugged into. I've done so much bullshit, you wouldn't even believe it. You'd say, why did you do all that? It's not going to affect a fucking thing. But I did it anyway. And now, this recording had better work, because this is my 6th try of recording this video, and I've never even completed one lap of this race. So I'm going to have to jump up from not even being able to do a couple of corners here to being able to do 10 events in a row. And I don't know if the Elgato is going to be able to handle it, but so far it's looking alright. Usually it goes to shit about here, but it's looking fine, so I'm going to trust it, and we're going to go the whole way. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, good. I don't need to worry. I'm just going to record and commentate, and then if things go to shit, you'll get the backup video that I recorded explaining my problem with Autosport and how it doesn't want to be recorded on the Elgato, and how I'm going to be moving on to Blur instead, because I did a test video on Blur, I recorded a race, and it was fine the whole way through. And, I mean, look back at Dirt Showdown, and I explained this in the backup video, but hopefully you won't be seeing that one. You know, Dirt Showdown, that game must have been much more graphically, I guess graphically intensive than this one. Because, you know, of all the fireworks going off and the lasers shooting up into the air and that sort of thing. You know, Dirt Showdown had loads more going on the screen than this, and it recorded 10 times better. You know, it was 10 times easier to record, but it looks like everything's fine now. I mean, my Mini's looking a bit Dirt Showdown at the minute, but at least this recording is actually working, is the main thing. That's really what you got to keep in mind. I'm actually recording what I want to record. So, with all that out of the way, we're here for the Grid Grand Slam. What I would call my first major milestone of this Let's Play so far. You know, getting to the Grid Grand Slam, because you have to be a certain percentage through the game to actually unlock to be able to race this. So I'd say that this is a good indicator of, like, my progress through this game so far. I'm around a third through, I guess. Obviously the later championships are going to get longer, but in terms of, like, actual progression, if that Oakley car could fuck off. In terms of actual progression, I'm about a third of the way through, I'd say. Which is a good sign. You know, but like I said, if even one recording in future fucks up, then I'm dropping this game entirely. Because it is absolutely not worth the amount of effort that I put into actually getting it to record. The effort I put in doesn't come out in the views at the end. And I know I don't do this for views. It's not about those views. I don't care. Particularly. Like, I do, obviously I care a little bit. It's nice to see that when I, record a video and talk to myself for however long, there are people out there that will actually watch it. I like seeing the view count on my rally videos and my TT videos, usually. For where my channel is now, I'd say that the view counts on those videos are fairly high. I like that. I appreciate that. It's on my Need for Speed videos where I don't get many views, but because that's on the PS2, the Elgato records that no hassle at all, and it's fine. And plus, I'm having fun with the Need for Speed Let's Play at the minute, so I'm more than happy to carry on with that, no matter how, artsy it is in terms of no one watching it. It's when it comes to the Grid Autosport Let's Play, and how fucking difficult it is to get that to record properly, and then it gets 3 views because the videos are so long no one wants to watch them. That's when I think to myself, is it worth carrying on with this, or should I switch to something that will be less high maintenance, But we're still here. We're still soldiering on. And the Elgato looks like it's soldiering on with me, which is nice. We're gonna Soldier Boy, then Superman that hoe, Remember Soldier Boy? I like the early 2000s and sort of mid-2000s nostalgia is coming back because people have realized how shit everything is in the 2010s. As we go in the late 2010s, and things that we remember being really bad turn 10 years old, we look back and actually they're pretty alright compared to what's going on now. I don't know if that's nostalgia. I don't think it is nostalgia because I hated a lot of stuff when it was around when I was a kid. But now I'm looking back and I'm thinking, it wasn't that bad. It was alright. It was good. And I got started at the back of this race with a car that's way slow and no option to qualify. So coming third, I think, is a reasonable objective to set for myself right now. I don't know why Raven West used a Mini. It's objectively the slowest car in this class. The Ford is obviously the best. Mostly because it's a Ford, but also because it's actually faster. They could even use the Golf. In literally every other class, right, Raven West have a car that outclasses everything else. So why are they using this shitty Mini for street? I don't understand that. But what I do understand is that I've been forgetting to do my left foot braking, and that's why I'm losing a lot of time in the corners. So if I could just remember to do that, that'd be probably be a good idea. Sorry, I could hear music while I was going over that bridge, and it confused me. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. It looks like seconds on the cards, actually, not just third. He's going to try and dive on, but I'm just going to... What happened there was that the blue Focus tried to overtake the Monster Energy Focus. But I was trying to overtake him at the same time. So basically, he got cucked by me. But it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get first, though, which is fine. Second is alright. I passed 15 cars in just 3 laps. On a track that, in Race Driver Grid... I can't remember the exact achievement from Grid, to be honest. Well, these sponsors are not going to be happy. There was definitely an achievement for doing a lap of Okutama in a certain amount of time. And it was fairly short, it was a short lap. I think you had to be in, I think the 787B to get it, and you had to go around and do a lap in less than a minute, I think, which I actually managed to get that achievement. And I recorded myself getting that achievement, so I could at some point go back and check, because that was on one of my older channels when I did that. I need to go to my nan's house for dinner today, and it's already 4, and I've still got a million races to go before I get done with this, so I might have to call them and say I'll just get KFC if I'm going to record this. Either that, or I like stop this recording halfway through, save the game. Actually, yeah, I might do that. I'll do about... I'm thinking I'm going to do 3 rounds now, then I'll pause everything, I'll save all my progress and stuff. I'll take advantage of the fact that Grid Autosport saves your progress through championships for when you come back next time. And I'll take advantage of all that sort of stuff. And come back and finish the recording when I get home. So it's 4:10 now, in terms of when I'm recording this. This is going to have absolutely no relevance to when it gets uploaded. So I don't know. So it's not really worth explaining this whole situation, but I'm just going to mention it anyway. It's 4:10 now. I'm going to record till 4:30, which means I probably won't even get to the end of this. I'll probably only just be able to finish this touring car round of the Grand Slam. But then when I eat dinner, when I come home, I'll record again. And finish everything off. Because I was going to record pretty much all of last night. Because this is, like a couple of other videos I've mentioned, I'm recording this video on a day where I've been left at home completely alone. And I've even got like another day of this. So I could do loads of recording. And stuff all night. But so I was going to record at night, and then I remembered that I'm actually a tiny little bit spooked of the dark. So I ended up not recording anything, but I've pretty much gotten over that now, so I'll probably do a bunch of recording tonight and finish off this championship at about midnight. The only reason I wanted to record at night is because I was playing Import Tuner Challenge at night a little while back, and that was comfy as fuck. You have no idea how comfy that was. I'm planning on putting my Let's Play of Import Tuner Challenge up. I haven't recorded any of it yet, but when I eventually get round to recording it, I'm gonna put it up on the Fridays, because it's a street racing game, and Friday is a street racing game sort of day. So that's when it's going to be up. I'll play it when I'm done with Underground, Underground 2, and Most Wanted. Because, you know, I've got this whole super autistic, like, story of my progressions through street racing going on. I haven't really mentioned it much in the actual Let's Plays, but I'll probably... It only really matters for stringing games together. Like, within the actual game, it doesn't matter, but... when stringing the games together, I might mention it, because I come up with, like, these 1 or 2 sentence reasoning why, you know, this game comes next and stuff. So I'll mention it when I'm done with Most Wanted, but basically, I'll talk about it now as well. But basically, at the end of Need for Speed Most Wanted, you become the #1 most wanted street racer in the entire, in all of North America. So, basically, my plan for the story would be that to wait for that heat to die down, I'll jump over to Japan and do some highway racing. And then come back for the story of Need for Speed Carbon. And then when and because I've disappeared, everyone gets mad at Cross for, like, putting someone that isn't even in the country as the #1 most wanted, and they're like, yeah, now you're fired. Go be a bounty hunter or whatever. So, you know, when I'm driving my BMW that I reclaim somehow through the canyons, and he's like, "Hi, remember me." There won't just have been a week break between, a week between me ditching him and then him being like, "Do you remember me?" There'll be like an actual let's play of me off in Japan, highway racing and stuff. And I finally got past Aaron Wesley, and he's going to take me back before the... No, he's not. Well defended. Alright, good. I spent 2 laps trying to plan some kind of move on him, and it just wasn't happening. I just didn't get an opportunity, but now I'm through. I'm going to put him in hold position mode. Because I can tell them what to do, but they can't tell me what to do. That's exactly how I want it to be. In the first grid, teammates were shit, I remember. Because a lot of the time they wouldn't finish well, and you'd have to pay like £250,000 to buy a decent teammate, and they wouldn't finish well, And then you had to keep buying new teammates to go into different disciplines, because they all had one discipline that they were good at. They couldn't be multidisciplinary like you were as the player, or like the Raven West drivers were. Like, your teammates could only be good in one area, and it was bullshit. Luckily, now that I'm driving for Raven West, I have a teammate that's actually competitive and helping me bring the team up to the top of the standings. Because I never, ever won a team's championship in the entirety of me playing Race Driver Grid. Because my teammates were always too bad. Like, I'd win, and they'd barely even finish in the points, and the team would always come second overall. And it sucked. I might as well have been driving alone, That was not a good showing for why I should be driving alone. Spinning out on a curb in the first corner and having to rewind. That's not a good show. And it's not a good showing of my skill as a driver. It's making me look like an arrogant cunt, basically, who doesn't know what he's talking about. But I do know what I'm talking about, I swear. See, I've already moved up more than halfway through the field, and my teammate has only gained 1 spot off the line. If that. I think he's still in the same spot he started in. That's the kind of level that I'm on compared to him. But the AI clearly think they're better than me. They think they can just go and push me off the track blatantly like that, instead of just T-boning me in the corner like I do, and trying to cover it up as a racing incident. I'm absolutely slicing and dicing through the field right now. This is actually cool. Alright, less cool when I start spinning out after rear-ending the fucking Razor Ford Focus. Holy shit. I remember driving that car. It wasn't actually that long ago that I drove it, so you should probably remember it as well if you've been following this Let's Play, but Jesus, that car. Memories, am I right? XD? Hashtag Throwback Thursday. Let's just leave them all behind. I don't have to follow my teammate for the rest of this lap. I can actually... I'm mincing words. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm saying. Basically, I'm just happy that I don't have to follow a car. Is what I'm trying to say. Is what I was getting at. I'm just gonna leave them all behind. Like a professional, like a real pro would do. Like a Mercedes driver, except in a BMW. Raven West are pretty much the Mercedes F1. I think I've said that before. That's a reused joke, but it's still a funny one. You know, it's still a proper funny. I'm gonna make this really boring and disappear off at the front of the field, and I've run out of things to talk about, so it'll probably be for the best if I take a break halfway through this recording to go and eat, and then when I come back we can do a night cast. It'll be like a podcast but at night, and instead of a podcast it'll actually be a let's play. But the Elgato, actually no, it was all me. It was me fixing everything. But in terms of giving it one last chance to prove that it wasn't to prove that it wasn't just a steaming pile of shit that was fucking me over on purpose. In terms of that, actually, it's working really well now. I'm pleased that I've managed to fix it, and I will be looking forward to taking advantage of its new fixed status when I get back from eating dinner tonight. And I'll probably end up recording a couple of videos like I'd originally planned on doing, instead of just recording one. Actually, I've already recorded... I've obviously not counting the five or six tries I've had at recording this before now. I've already recorded a TT Superbikes and a Need for Speed Underground video today. But when I get back, I'm going to be doing a lot more Autosport. So, in the video, you know, I'll probably cut back in at the next menu, all refreshed and eaten. At least it's not a drift. I'm seeing that it's tuner, right? But at least it's only a time attack, not a drift. That's fine. I can deal with that. I'm leading the overall. Somehow Aaron isn't in second place with me, even though he's in the same car. Just shows you how much of a pleb he is, really, doesn't it? Right, so, when I come back from eating, we'll cut back in on this menu and I'll get to drive an FD. But, in real life, I'm going to save and quit, and then come back later on. Alright, it was 4:30 when I left for my nan's house to go and eat dinner. It was nice. I had a burger, crinkly chips, had a good time. Sister made me watch Casey Undercover, which is a Disney Channel show that Zendaya is in, and apparently Zendaya is her whole name. But she's the one that played Mary Jane, air quotes around Mary Jane. She's the one that played Mary Jane in Spider-Man Homecoming. And I mean, if they were going for the Disney Channel aesthetic in Spider-Man Homecoming, they definitely succeeded. It was like I was watching a spin-off TV show. I swear down. Actually, somehow she looked better on the Disney Channel than on fucking an actual movie that had a big budget and shit. So I don't know how they managed to do that, but they did. But I'm back now. I narrowly survived my journey to and from my nan's house in Molsham. If I didn't treat riding my bike like playing Burnout, and if I drove a car, I would be dead. Without question. I would have died. And it probably wouldn't have even have taken me until today to be killed on the road. You know, I would have been killed ages ago. But today, I partook in some dangerous road behavior that I wouldn't recommend anyone took part in. And, you know, I'd rather not talk about, but it was about as bad as that time that I ran a red light, except this time I didn't actually do anything illegal. I just had to, you know, I had to skip across a lane to avoid an accident where they'd just left their cars in the middle of the road, which is, I guess, makes sense, because, like, if you move the stuff, then the insurance company will be like, yeah, nah, we're not paying out for that, you changed it. But one of the guys had left his door open, so it was taking up an extra half of the lane that I was trying to be in that he didn't need. So I had to, like, jump over to the other lane and, like, take up space while this Mercedes was trying to drive. And if I could just rewind out of having a penalty there, that would be right. Also, there was this guy in one of those miniature vans, like that. We all know what a Vauxhall Astra is, right? We all know about Vauxhall Astras. Oh, basically, oh shit, I missed that corner completely. Well, it's a bit late now for you to be warning me about that. To be honest, I think I've won though. But I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna finish out the event because whatever. I want to be driving this FD. Yeah, this guy in this Vauxhall Astra van thing. I don't know what you're supposed to call them, but I call them vans. Was basically like, I think he was trying to block me. Actually, I don't know what his deal was, but he was going really slow and driving like almost in the middle of the road, so that I couldn't get past on the middle. So I like when he came up to a zebra crossing, I just started overtaking the big line of traffic that he was at the back of, and then the lights went green while I was still riding past. So now there's oncoming traffic coming straight towards me, and I had to like dip around this Peugeot 206 that was like trying to take a different route, and I probably cut him up, which isn't cool. All right, feel like a cunt. Felt a little bit like a cunt, so I filtered to the front of the next line of traffic so that he wouldn't be near me, sitting in the line. Just so, you know, whenever I do something stupid, at the next set of lights, I'll filter to the front so that no one that's seen me doing anything dumb is there. So that no one's gonna, like, wind down their windows and start shouting at me. That doesn't seem like a pleasant experience, being shouted at by some stranger for cutting them up. I wouldn't. I don't really want to live through that. I just need to remember to stop riding like I do and actually like get safer and stuff. I feel like I would benefit from. I also feel like I would benefit from getting a new bulb for my brake light, because that's gone completely now, as far as I can tell. So I've got to do something about that. But everything else is fine. Everything else in my life is right. You know, I'm home now. I'm alive. I'm playing Grid Autosport and it's recording just fine. I didn't shut my laptop down. I just put it on sleep mode because I didn't want to leave it on either. So I just put it on sleep and it's recording fine again, which is right. Another endurance race at Hockenheim. Except this time I get to drive the Audi, which is probably going to be a way better car than the Aston Martin and the McLaren were when I drove those, because the Aston Martin kept drifting everywhere. And the... Oh yeah, oh, never mind. And the McLaren just didn't feel good to drive at all when I actually ended up driving it. So now we're driving the Audi. The only other car I haven't driven in the Endurance Group 2 class is the Mercedes now. But I don't think that Mercedes will be any less drifty than the Aston. It'll probably be worse, to be honest. And this car did not want to turn in. It's very tight, which is good. This is how I remember the... Okay, this is a little bit worse than how I remember the McLaren feeling. Like, when I first drove the McLaren, it was super tight and nice. And then when I had to restart the whole recording and drive it a second time, everything went to shit. Maybe I should be braking at the 150 meter board just to get it turned in. Yeah. Like the McLaren was a little bit better feeling than this, but this is good. I can deal with driving this, you know? The oversteer and stuff of the Aston Martin just isn't present. And that is very welcome. And if I could avoid just counter steering for no reason and driving myself off into the grass, that'd be nice. I tend to do that quite a lot. I don't know why. Like, I'm on the exit of a corner and I just feel the need to counter steer, but I overcorrect and just throw myself into the grass. Well, even with how sloppy the first half of that lap was, I still managed to get first place on the grid easily. So I'm not entirely sure how I managed that, but I did manage it. So there we go. My teammate didn't even get second place. It's reserved for Ryan Thompson, who was this kid. Ryan Thompson is the name of this guy that went to secondary school, high school. He went to the same high school as me. Did your boy Ryan Thompson. We weren't really friends. I kind of think he had Down syndrome or something. He wasn't. He definitely wasn't a cool kid. You know, he wasn't. He didn't even roll with me and my friends. He was like a proper full turbo autist, if you see what I mean. You know, I know that the In-Betweeners is kind of a meme, a dank Reddit meme, but it feels like that's what we were. Like, even before I actually watched that show, I felt like that. Like, we weren't the cool kids, obviously, because I turned out like this. And I'm not even done with education yet. I only just finished high school like a few months ago. Fucking... Yeah, we weren't the cool kids, but at the same time, we weren't turbo autists. We were just sort of somewhere between. The in-betweeners, I would have called us. Although we probably... To everyone else, we probably look like turbo autists as well. So I guess it doesn't really matter what I think. This Audi is too fucking fast. I was gonna say that on the first lap, but I'm saying it on the second lap, and it's still the same. Like, I just pulled away from everyone straight away, which I'm not complaining about, you know. I'd rather not struggle in an endurance race. That's why I'm really tentative about entering endurance races in Gran Turismo. Because unless, like, my car is guaranteed to be better than everyone else's, I'll be like, this is just going to be a huge waste of time, innit? Like, if you remember when I was doing the Mazda MX-5 endurance race on Gran Turismo 3, back when I was playing that, I kept... Like, I had to grind a few races a few times to be able to afford the fastest model of MX-5 just to ensure that I would definitely be able to win. Also, I made up my pit strategy for that endurance race on the fly, I want everyone to know. And that game came out in 2001 and it had pit stops, right? In fact, I think Test Drive Le Mans for the PS1 and Sega Dreamcast, I'm pretty sure that had pit stops as well, even before Gran Turismo 3. Although I'm not sure about Gran Turismo 1 and 2. I don't know about those, but... basically what I'm trying to say is there have been games that have had pit stops in them, you know, since the 90s, right? Like proper 3D racing games that have endurance races that have had pit stops in them. And yet, Grid Autosport does not support pit stops. How embarrassing. Am I right? What a terrible game. 0 out of 10 for simulation value. What were Codemasters thinking? tisk. This is why we're not going to get another grid. It's totally not because Grid 2 was shockingly bad and made everyone lose interest in the series. Well, I'm glad that we're beating Monster Energy Racing, because all their cars are painted up to look like shitboxes. Well, after I finish this video, I've got to bring the washing in. Because like I said, I think I said it in this video, but it might have been in a different one. I was supposed to bring it in last night, and then I didn't. And then overnight there was a massive storm, so I've had to leave it out again today to hopefully dry out. But then after that, I'm probably going to record into the night. Because I've gotten over my fear of being alone in the dark, I reckon. Mostly, on the most part. If I just keep talking to myself, hopefully I won't be scared. That's the plan. Current standings update. You're currently ahead of Monster Energy Racing. It keeps giving me like live championship points updates. And it's all really obvious stuff. That I knew. That he didn't need to tell me in the race. You know, I can look at the points charts at the end of each round and see that I'm ahead of Monster Energy Racing. I'd rather it if he was telling me about, like, my tyre wear and stuff. I've gone silent like I'm concentrating, but actually I'm just driving. I'm just trying to think of stuff to talk about, really, to be honest. Actually, I wasn't even thinking about stuff to talk about. I was just mindlessly driving. Which is what I usually end up doing. When I'm going through YouTube and I'm watching all the posdects going on and stuff, I tend to, like, throw on a racing game and just play it. Like, mindlessly, just put down laps or whatever, or progress through a career mode without really paying attention. Like, actually, speaking of Grid 2, I've got something slightly related to that to talk about, right? So, Grid 2 on WSG and in, like, random video game racing threads on O, I'm going to talk about the fortunes and be really cringy. I'm sorry about that, but that's just the way it is right now. People always mention Grid 2 because it has Lee 2 gays. Am I right, fellow Initial D fans? I'm totally not from Reddit. I've been here the whole time. And I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, Initial D and Toge racing is definitely an autist thing, but it's been taken away by the normal fags over at WSG, and they record their hilarious clips and put their Mimi Eurobeat over the top. And everyone's like, oh, Grid 2, what a good game. Grid 2, Grid 2. Right? And it's like, Grid 2 killed the Race Driver franchise, first of all. And second of all, why, like, if you're going for, like, music memes, right? Can we have some Project Gotham Racing 3 as, like, for the old aesthetic? As I missed the S sound. I went straight for the that's what went wrong there. Can we get some synthwave going on with Ferrari Testarossas and Lamborghini Countaches driving around Tokyo at night? That'd be pretty cool. You know, it doesn't all have to be LMAO initial D mems. Alright. Jamie's asking me if I want to play Kick the Jew. I don't know. I mean, I always want to kick Jews. I want to kick them out of the upper echelons of Hollywood and get them out of entertainment. The entertainment industry. I want the entertainment industry to be for the white man again, you know? I don't want fucking cuck propaganda shoved down my face hole. But I don't think Kick the Jew is just something I can play. I think I have to start the beta uprising for Kick the Jew to become a game that I can actually play. Or I could just make a Flash game. If Google Chrome hadn't removed Flash support and made it so I can't play Flash games anymore without loading up like Internet Explorer or some fucking shit like that. Can you believe it? Can you believe the nerve that they have at Google to remove all Flash support? I can't believe it. What an embarrassing state of affairs. Also, I like this version of Circuit the Americas way more than the one in Forza 6, because there aren't huge tire walls everywhere obstructing my vision. It just looks like, now without all the tire walls getting in the way of me being able to see, now it just looks like a huge concrete slab. Just a huge bit of concrete laid down on the ground with lines drawn over it to represent where a racetrack is. You know, like all tiltdromes in Formula 1. But at least I can see. That's the upside of not having tire walls everywhere to avoid cheaters. I'm pretty sure in Forza 6 Apex on the PC, they actually encourage the player to like cut corners and stuff. So I don't know what the point of putting all those tire walls there was, if they were just going to encourage people to cut the track to get in the lead in single player. Yep, I managed to completely fuck my teammate over there. Gave him a little nudge and he got swallowed up. He didn't get swallowed up too bad though, he only went back down to third. Circuit the Americas. It's not really a track I like too much. Although I am glad there are big orange poles in the distance telling me where turns are. I think those are mostly for the American drivers though, that only know how to turn left. XD. I don't get why it's such a big... I mean, I get why it's such a big meme to hate on NASCAR all the time. But it's actually pretty cool. It's like, it's real life pod racing, is what I was going to say before I got a penalty. Also, fun fact about the Star Wars pod racing game. One of the tracks actually has the same map as Laguna Seca. Because Laguna Seca is the racetrack that has to appear in every racing game for some reason. If you're making a racing game that includes track racing, it's pretty much mandatory to have Laguna Seca in there for some reason. Probably because, like, in real life, they're actively trying to stop people from racing at Laguna Seca. Because people that buy houses in the valley around it always complain about the noise of racing cars. Like, even though they bought a house within range of a proper professional, internationally renowned racetrack, they're surprised that racing cars make noise. Can you believe it? Maybe the one advantage of eventually switching to electric cars and electric race cars and stuff is that people won't be able to complain about the noise coming from racetracks, so that all these iconic circuits like Laguna Seca and Lime Rock can be saved. Because at Lime Rock, you're only allowed to race on Saturdays. It's too much noise to race on a Sunday, even though Sunday is the day you're actually supposed to race cars on, traditionally. It's the done thing to race on a Sunday. But whatever. Americans and their stupidity will never cease to fucking baffle me. I will be bamboozled forever by their absolute ineptitude in terms of house buying choices. But yeah, but anyway, Laguna Seca appears in pretty much every racing game, and I don't know why. It's just the done thing. I think it's in every Gran Turismo. Fairly certain it's in all the Forzas. Forza 2 I'm not so sure about, but it's definitely in like 4 and 6 and stuff. The ones that I've played recently. That I've actually cared to look through the track list of. Because I've got 2 and 3 and 5 in terms of Forza. And I had Forza 1 for about 5 minutes before I put it in the disc tray of my original Xbox, and it turned out that it didn't work. Which was fantastic fun. I enjoyed finding that out. I'm glad that I got sold a busted disc. Liking old games is a fucking gamble, I'll tell you that. Well, I remember Blackberries. I remember when a whole bunch of people I knew had Blackberries. And then they switched to like iPhones and stuff. But still. BlackBerry, I remember Blackberries. And it was around 2014 time as well. So there you go. That pass didn't quite go to plan. Gonna be real. I did manage to four-wheel drift though. So, and that's the fastest kind of drift, because if you only drift with the back wheels, you'll end up going really slowly. But if you can four-wheel drift, that's really fast. That's the technique you have to master to be able to navigate the tollgate at full speed, is four-wheel drifting. Is this going to be... No, it isn't, because I can just get past here. Push him off the track. And, I mean, my original plan wasn't to push him all the way off the track, honest. I was just going to, like, nudge and then run him a little bit wide. But then I forgot to turn back towards the inside of the track to give him room, so... just pushed him all the way off. And then I turned too much towards the inside of the track. But no one took advantage. I got a proximity arrow as well, but apparently the guy just hit the brakes instead of going around me. In real life, when there's a car that has a problem like that, I tend to just go around it. Just whoop around the outside. And then narrowly avoid death. And then I laugh about it later. Was that people outside shouting, or was that in the game? I'm not entirely sure. I heard some kind of shouting, but it could have been in the game, but it could also have been the neighbors. I really, genuinely, honestly don't know. But what I do know is that I need to keep talking, otherwise this video will get super boring. So, how about Disney? Am I right? I mean, ooh, that visual effects lawsuit probably not going to affect them at all. To be honest, they can just throw money at the problem until it goes away, because they're Disney, and the law literally doesn't matter to Disney. It just doesn't apply. They're such a big company, they can just be like, throw money at the problem until it goes away. And I mean, they used all that money on visual effects in Beauty and the Beast, and the Beast still looked like garbage. So maybe they should have used that money on making Emma Watson look attractive. Am I right? Emma Watson is worst Emma. And you can't convince me otherwise. I stole that joke from 4chan, by the way. Because I use 4chan. I'm so edgy and cool. I'm not like those Reddit kids. Actually, you know what? I met a guy... Right. So now that I'm moving into 6th form, they did a 6th form induction type deal. And we got a guy from a different high school coming to our 6th form. Because I'm going to 6th form at the same school I went to high school at, because it's like, it's in the same... That's just how 6th form is. Like, you go to it instead of going to college, and then after that... And then after both, you can go to uni. So this guy, he ends up hanging out with us because he's like us. A little, I guess. That's what I describe it as. You know, he's sitting around with us, whatever. I'm making my dank memes because I use memes in real life because I have no life. But what I do have is autism. So there I am, sitting there, being autistic. Start talking about Reddit, you know, because I hate Reddit. I have to hate Reddit because I use 4chan, but also because I actually do hate Reddit, right? And he said, I use Reddit. What? Why? Well, it's funny, isn't it? I don't like him anymore. He's not my friend. He's someone in the group that I'm not friends with that I talk to. I don't really... Well, I haven't had much of a chance to talk to him because I've only seen him for like 2 days max. And we're back to the slowest shit mini. But I've decided that I don't like him based on his website of choice. Holy shit, these cars are slow. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a huge penalty. Let's just... Yeah, I knew what was coming while I was doing... Okay, well, the car went off on its own. Luckily, I managed to avoid getting a penalty by not using the throttle and trying to turn back towards the track. And I tricked the game into not giving me a penalty. Oh, okay. Well, it was not worth any of it. I'm all the way back down to 15th. These races where I have to start last because there's no option to qualify are definitely going to be the ones where I get the worst finishing positions. Even if because I only finished second in round 1. The shame, am I right? It's unacceptable to finish lower than first. God damn it, Intel. Make a good car that doesn't run wide into my path when I'm trying to left foot brake my way around a pack. And if this guy in the Forge VW could stop turning into me and half pit maneuvering me, that'd be nice too. And the person leading the race is a woman. But she's only there because of the affirmative action type deal that's going on in terms of me not being able to qualify. That's it. She's only there by virtue of the random grids. Like she's the Danica Patrick of Grid Autosport. And I'm fairly certain that was not the fastest way. I could have gone around that corner, but that's the fastest way I wanted to go around it. I saw one of these minis, like this model of mini, while I was riding to my nan's house. And I ended up parked right behind it at a red light. And I managed to look in the back window. And I mean, I know this isn't a big deal because, like, obviously, why would it not be the case? But I was looking through, and they actually do have a gigantic rev counter in the middle of the dashboard. I was thinking that's fantastic. I mean, I don't know why I was surprised that that was real. I'm pretty sure I've seen minis in real life before, and I'm also fairly certain that I've driven minis in all kinds of other games that model the cars accurately, where they do have the big old rev counter just sitting there in the middle, being comically big. So I don't know why it didn't quite click that, you know, why wouldn't that be there? But for some reason it didn't. So there I was, sitting behind this mini at a red light, looking through its back window, going, huh, it does have a rev counter, look. And then I saw the needle start going up, and I realised that the light had gone green. Also, there was some blonde chick driving it. What I should have done is filtered my bike up next to her and gone, hey, what up, baby? But I have the aughts, and I can't do that. And she wasn't an anime girl, so I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have wanted to do it anyway. Again, second place in a street race, a street class race, not a street race, because this is a racetrack, and I lost my bonnet, which makes this a hot rod mini. No one else can even compete, right? If I'd have been able to qualify for that, I would have been first place by miles. Miles, I say. Miles. And apparently, slow as shit, hatchbacks can handle the entire Okutama course, but a Mazda RX-7 and the like can't. It's just embarrassing, really. Also, I'm fairly certain the back section of Okutama was part of one of the Toge courses in Grid 2. It probably was, to be honest. They'd reused a lot of the assets of Grid 2 for Grid Autosport. But Okutama's been a track since Grid 1, so I appreciate... I mean, I don't think the actual Grand Prix circuit of Okutama was in... Also, I'm pretty sure they ran it in the other direction in the first grid. But blah, 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 whatever. The point is, even if it wasn't the actual Grand Prix track in Grid 2, you know, Okutama's been in all 3 grid games. You know, if I'm right about the Toge course thing, which I think I am. I'm fairly certain I am. I definitely recognize it. I mean, you know, I should have pointed it out when we was going around it in the minis, but we were going the wrong way, and I wasn't really thinking about it then. I was too pissed off that the El Gato was being a special snowflake and refusing to work. But with the way I've got it plugged in now, I'm using like a different USB slot on my laptop and everything. I literally unplugged it and plugged it in again, and now it's working perfectly. So I just need to remember to do that a whole bunch, I guess. And I need to take a deeper angle into that corner. Yeah, because I did that great big drift for the fans. I think I was saying something about Okutama having been in all 3 grid games in some form, which is pretty neat, pretty nifty. Fairly certain it's a fictional circuit. Yeah, of course I'll gain a place if I make up a whole second. I'm only 0.2 of a second down on the leader. If that, I'm point... Overall, apparently, I'm 0.1. And that there is the fast line. You know, even if I lost time, it's still the fast line. If this S2000 gets in the way of this perfect lap. Give me room, thank you. Actually, unironically, thank you for giving me the room there. And that should... Alright, I'm not going to gain any time by going up in the grass. Go back to here. I actually can't believe that I'm still stuck in second after that lap. You know, I gain 0.4 of a second through the first corner and then lose it all over the rest of the lap. Where does that... It probably goes through that... It doesn't even go through that corner. Look, I'm still 0.4 of a second up. It must be this corner. But I think I'm fairly ahead on the time. Yeah. I could probably stop dead at this point and still win with how much of an advantage I've got coming up to the line on this final lap. And there we go. First and second for Raven West. I barely even had to try. I wasn't stressing about that last lap at all. And I guess I did make up a second, so there we go. The engineer was right in the end. Touring cars again. Now that I've completed the Grand Slam, I'm going to have to graduate from the class that I'm in all disciplines. I'm going to have to skip any Category C events that are left and go straight up to Category B in touring cars after I've done this, because, you know, this is the big important milestone of the career. So I have to move up after this, because if I just stayed in the same class all time, I'd be Jeffrey Hurlings, who's been racing MX2 bikes for like a decade and wins every year, but refuses or can't get a contract to move up to MX1, which they renamed MXGP. So they still have MX2, but they changed the name of MX1 to MXGP. So it's like, guess it's more streamlined since that's the name of the championship as a whole. You know, Motocross Grand Prix. But like, both MX1 and MX2 are Motocross Grand Prix categories. So I don't know why one gets to... I mean, I guess, you know, MX1 is objectively the premier, like the headline event. So I guess that should be the real Motocross Grand Prix. But, you see what I mean. Also, apparently they're making an AMA Supercross game, like a proper one. Not MX vs ATV. Hopefully. God, if Pretend Race Cars reported that wrong, and it wasn't Milestone that went out to whatever round of Supercross, and it was actually Rainbow Studios slash... Well, they're not Rainbow anymore, and they're not THQ, they're just Nordic. And if it was Nordic that went out there to get licenses and shit for their next MX vs ATV abomination, I'm gonna be pissed. But hopefully it's Milestone. Even if the what I've seen of the I haven't played any of MXGP3, but what I've seen of the Supercross DLC for MXGP3 doesn't look good. You know, because MXGP is a bit like an MMA fighter that specializes in its ground game. You know, if you try and get that particular fighter to like box or whatever, he's not gonna have a good time because he can't do the air stuff. But his ground game is on point. Is basically how I see Milestone and their motocross games. They can't get the air right, but the ground physics are where it's at. I'm just gonna run away with it again, aren't I? I'd play a Supercross game. You know, even though I'm from England and MXGP should be more popular here, really it's not. MXGP is really niche. So I'm glad that Milestone have moved up and taken a much bigger sports license after sharpening their teeth on some more niche shit. Like they did with World Superbikes. And then when they were finished with their Superbike games, they got given the license for MotoGP. And I mean, you know, say what you like about the first couple of MotoGP games they made. Like, I actually like 13. I think 13 is pretty good. The classic content in 14 sort of saves that game from just being a re-release of 13, to be honest. And then 15 was mediocre. And then Valentino Rossi, the game, like, all that extra stuff ruined it. I haven't played any MotoGP games past 14, so I'm... A lot of the stuff I talk about is just what I've seen in terms of other people playing it. And I mean, I rarely share their viewpoints. Because a lot of the time, the bigger channels, like, let's take Tiamat Marduk, for example, who plays F1 games mostly. That's what he does. He plays Formula 1 games, right? And then every so often he'll get a game made by some different people, and like he'll get sent it, and it's like, you know, obviously they're paying him to give it exposure and stuff because he's got a fairly big fan base and that. So like he'll probably end up saying nice things, and then like even if he's not being paid and stuff, like when you go into a bike game, you don't know anything about bikes. They usually say, I don't really know anything about bikes, but if you like bike games, then you should probably get this one, right? So it's like, but then like I'm actually watching it, and I'm someone that actually likes bike games, and I'm thinking, all this extracurricular shit of being like a Valentino Rossi Academy person and drifting this Mustang and like trying to and like going off and riding these flat track bikes. I mean, sure, it's cool, and I like flat track. Flat track's really cool. I prefer grass track and speedway, and I wish that speedway game they'd made wasn't a PC exclusive. I wish they could bring that out on consoles at some point. You know, because I like speedway, and I like the old grass track and stuff. But, you know, it doesn't belong in a MotoGP game. Although maybe they just did that to try and increase sales so that they could get more money to make MotoGP 17 a way better game, because it is. MotoGP 17, from everything I've seen, looks to be a huge step up from what they've made so far. So, you know, Milestone's whole teeth-cutting sort of thing that they do tends to actually work out pretty well, because, like, you know, they made WRC 2010 and WRC 2011, and those weren't great. And then they came back once they lost the license and made Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo, which a lot of people will tell you is a really competent rally game. I've only played the demo, but it plays pretty right. I like that the stages are really narrow and stuff. And then, you know, with MXGP, they made 1 and 2, which were okay. Like, 1 I think is better than 2, because 2 is basically just the same thing again. And then 3 was a huge step up. So and like I've been saying this whole time, you know, they get a bigger license, they can move up and do bigger and better things. But, you know, that's just me rambling. I'm pretty sure they released that Ducati game fairly recently, and that I haven't seen like any footage of that at all, but I've seen it mentioned here and there, and it doesn't look like it was good, to be honest. It looked like a licensed manufacturer game, and not the good kind of licensed manufacturer game like Ford Racing 2 and stuff. More like a Ford Racing 1 type deal, if you see where I'm going with that sort of whole comparison going on. It's touring car racing. There's supposed to be a bit of bumping and banging. Don't worry about those first couple of corners. Just ignore what happened there and focus on the bigger picture, you know? There's no need to worry about all that crashing that happened. Do kind of wish there were more British tracks in this game for the touring cars. Especially because, like, this whole franchise was built off of British Touring Car Championship. You know, I don't know what British. I'm not entirely sure what British tracks are in this game, but I'm going to assume that Brands is probably the only one. At a stretch, Silverstone. Oh shit! The game froze. That wasn't my Elgato. That was the game actually freezing for a second. At a stretch, I'm going to guess that Silverstone might be in here as well. But I think it's only Brands in terms of tracks featured from the UK. I hope someone else gets... I hope the BTCC license goes to someone at some point. Because I'd like to see another one of those games. I haven't actually played any of the original Toka games, but one of the guys at HG Central, I think Emil. Come on, I was pushed. He didn't give me any room. That's not penalty worthy. Is playing Toka Touring Car Championship for the PS1. That's what Emil's playing. Sorry, I got distracted by getting a penalty, but that's the game he's playing currently on HG Central. And it looks good. I mean, you know, obviously it's a PS1 game, so looks good is relative. But I'm interested. I want to get myself... I don't need to buy a PS1 because I'm going to end up like I already have a PS3 Super Slim that I could play PS1 games on. In fact, I already have one PS1 game. The I have Bizarre Creations' first racing game and first game on the whole, Formula One. It's just called that. It doesn't have a name, but it simulates 1995 season and it came out in 1996. It's just Formula One from Bizarre Creations, people that went on to make Project Gotham Racing and Blur. And I could put that in. Sorry, I got distracted with nothing. I just lost my train of thought and then forgot to keep speaking. I could put that in the PS3 Super Slim and play it on the PS3 whenever I wanted. So, you know, I don't. There's no need for me to buy a PS1. I could just buy PS1 games. And obviously, my PS2 doesn't work perfectly. Like, it's not infallible, but it works pretty well. It'll run most games that I try to put in it. There are a couple at random, like just a random couple. They seem to have no correlation. Apart from Gran Turismo 4, which doesn't work because it's got a weird disc. And obviously games that have really scratched discs. But there are some games that just don't work for no reason. So the PS2, sorry, a little bit temperamental. But it's nothing that, you know, I can't deal with. There's not really a huge reason for me to buy a first generation PS3 that will play PS2 games. But, you know, if my PS2 does completely pack up, it's probably worth looking into at least, getting one. Because they stopped manufacturing them fairly recently. So, you know, I gotta keep on top of it in case they all disappear from under me. And then when it comes to like the GameCube, I'm fairly certain you can run a big chunk of GameCube games on the Wii, but only if you have like a GameCube controller. So I'd have to look into what games are actually able to run on the Wii, and if it's really not many, then it might be worth just getting a GameCube. And then the Sega Dreamcast isn't compatible with anything, so I just have to get a Dreamcast, I guess. And then, you know, I'd need a PS4 as well if I want to play Drive Club. And that's about it. Because the PS4 doesn't have any exclusive racing games that will be worth looking into in the coming years. Because the online of Gran Turismo Sport is going to die. And since that entire game is based on online, that's pretty much that. That's the end of Gran Turismo Sport. You know, there'll be nothing to do on it. Once the online dies, then what? You know? All the Gran Turismo games have had entire years, like thousands of hours worth of content, and then Gran Turismo Sport comes out, and everything's online, and then when people lose interest in the game, then you literally can't do anything. What were they thinking when they made Gran Turismo Sport? Holy shit. Actually, I can't remember if there is any kind of single-player career mode of any kind on Gran Turismo Sport. I'm going to assume that there'll be something, but I doubt there'll be very much going on. It probably won't have as much attention put into it as the career modes did on older Gran Turismos, or even Gran Turismo 6 and Gran Turismo 5. It'll probably be like below those games in terms of its tier of how much effort went into making the career mode. Because the game has... Gran Turismo Sport is a huge shift from the rest of the Gran Turismo franchise. Like, it's even more different, I'd say, than Tourist Trophy. Purely because it's not just about collecting cars and bikes in terms of Tourist Trophy, you know. All the other games have been about amassing a huge collection of cars and then doing all kinds of racing with them. Gran Turismo Sport is going to be like, get the best GT3 car and win with it online. There you go, done. You can race every 20 minutes. You can't just choose to do whatever race you want. Got to race every 20 minutes. If you want to race. Got to wait for those start times like on iRacing. I think I've talked about what a rip-off iRacing is before, so I won't get into it, but I think iRacing is a huge rip-off. And we're not going to get into it, but that's what I think. And I know that it's true without even playing any iRacing. I can tell you just from looking at it that I'm right about iRacing and you're not. Yep, this episode has already gone over an hour, just like I thought it would be. And Chamie has sent me a video over Skype. I can't see the full title. All I can see of it is it's Biz Markie, just a friend. It doesn't sound like anything comes after friend, in terms of looking at what I can see of the title, but I'm going to guess that there's probably something that comes after that. So I'll have to give that a watch when I'm done recording this video. And then if I do decide to keep recording into the night, then I'll talk about it in the next video that I record, which is probably still going to be on Grid, because all the other series... Oh wait, no, I've got to record a WRC2 video. Yeah, I'll talk about it then. It's definitely a song, so there won't be all that much I can talk about, but I'll give it a talk anyway. Let's give old Aaron Westley a pass. We'll give him a tap first to let him know that I'm here. That was totally on purpose. And then, whoop, up the inside. Hold position. Game froze for a second again. It's not a good sign. TT Superbikes does that, and TT Superbikes is a game that asks me to take out the disc, clean it, and then put it back in to keep playing. So, you know, it's a little bit worrying that Grid Autosport has just had another freeze. This was released in 2014, so I'm pretty sure this was one of the last games ever released for the 360 and PS3 that wasn't cross-generational, because it didn't get an Xbox One or PS4 release. And they made Grid 2 backwards compatible on Xbox One, but not this, for whatever fucking reason. If Ryan Thompson replays that over and over, all he'll learn is that to overtake people, you have to give them a little nudge on the backside, and then when you get past them, you just have to tell them to stay where they are. Alright, one last endurance race. Where are we going? What track? Spa! Hell yeah, new track. I haven't raced here yet. It's a reversed layout of Spa. Which means that for my first experience racing at Spa-Francorchamps on this game, and my first ever video that features Spa and racing at Spa, we won't even get to go up Eau Rouge. We'll have to go down it. Unbelievable. What were they thinking? Oh well. Go for a quick qualifying run. Yeah, look at this, look. Who the hell goes down Eau Rouge? That's not the way you're supposed to go. Alright, they've been racing at this track since the 60s, if not earlier. And no one has ever proposed that they should race around it the wrong way. So why start now? This is really disorientating. I think this is the first time I've ever driven Spa this way. Unless I've, apart from, spinning out in a race, obviously. But even then, you don't go that far around the track. You sort yourself out. This is abnormal. I think this is this is definitely the first time I've driven Spa reversed ever. And I'm looking at those split times in the actual race. I'm definitely going to run away with it, like I did at Hockenheim in the endurance race. I'm not entirely sure of the corner names at Spa, except for Eau Rouge. I'm going to be honest. I can identify each corners. I can identify a corner and say, yeah, that's where you do this and stuff. But if you try and tell me them by their names, I won't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's a little bit worrying to be approaching Eau Rouge this way. Let's brake and try not to kill myself in that barrier at the bottom there. To be honest, that barrier is probably why no one's ever even thought about racing it the other way. Because you'd hit that and be killed. That would be it. Whatever. 8 minutes of going around this track the wrong way. Let's do it. It doesn't look right. It's not right. You're not supposed to be going this way. You're supposed to see the back end of a car just before it goes up Eau Rouge. That's a picturesque photograph you're supposed to take home from your trip to Belgium. Yeah. Pile up through the hairpin. That's going to happen whichever way you go around this track. But this chicane is just going to amplify it because the whole pack is still going to be together going into the second corner. So obviously there's going to be even more carnage at the start of the race. Okay, it might be that the Mercedes is quicker in a straight line, and it could have something of an advantage here. Okay, never mind. He's lost all that time on me that he gained. I guess that's just because I had a bad line through the chicane, and he took advantage coming up the first half of the straight, and then just lost it all before we even got to the next corner. So I was right about being able to run away with this race. So that is just what I'm going to do. Yeah, this corner, easy to go wide at when you're going the right way. These chicanes here, you know, you can overshoot those because this is a fast straight. This is a long straight, it's a fast straight as well. But even worse would be trying to come down Eau Rouge that way. Didn't hit the brakes that time, that was fast. I wouldn't say scary. Oh, fuck. Nice one. It's just like racing at the Norris ring. Well, the AI did it as well, so it's fine. Nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm only as good at driving as a computer. But whatever. I'm pretty sure I'm only going to get like 2 or 3 laps done within the time limit because of how long of a track this is. Even if there's literally only 2 slow corners, everything else is like fast or medium speed, I'd say. You know, so you're pretty much going as flat out as possible for the majority of the lap. Unless you decide to do that. I probably don't want to be drifting like that if I'm trying to conserve my tires. He's in second place, which is a good position, and I don't want him trying to battle me while I'm trying to figure out how to conserve my tire wear. So I'll have him sit around in second place. That's fine. The newcomer to the team is going to cuck the guy that's been there the whole time. That's just the way it is. It's kind of weird that, like, it's pretty nice, pretty good. You can easily wank to cuck porn, but then you think about it if it was happening to you, and there'd definitely be a double murder suicide on the front page. If you see what I mean. You can wank to someone being cucked, but then you go full taxi driver when it happens. I'm gonna go full taxi driver if I fuck that chicane up again. I thought I was supposed to be running away with this. Why is he right on my tail? I mean, apart from the fact that I've fucked that chicane up literally every time I've tried to go around it. Anyway, when it comes to cuck porn, there are three types of people: plebeians, patricians, and normals. Normal fags, right? A plebeian will insert as the cuck, and a normal fag will insert as the bull. But a true patrician, someone that truly appreciates the art form that is cuck porn or NTR hentai, will insert as the woman. It's not gay. And it's not weird. It's totally fine. It's totally normal. It's totally acceptable, and you can tell because I do it, and I'm a true patrician. All right, I know what I'm talking about. I don't read a lot of NTR doujins, to be honest, because usually they focus too much on the girl being like, oh, I don't like Oni-chan anymore. I like this faceless fat guy's Ochin-chin. And it's like, oh, well, that sucks. Now I just feel bad. Besides, I prefer to read doujins about MILFs with big meaty cocks beating off in public. Which isn't gay. That's not gay either. Because it's a girl. Just because it's a feminine penis, alright? We all know what a feminine penis is. I talk about traps a lot. I'm trying to trail break and it's not working out. Can you believe I did the same thing at that chicane 3 times in a row? You probably can. Alright, it's the end of the race. End of the grid Grand Slam, finally. Probably end of any respect you had for me after I explained my views on cuckoldry. But the point is, it's all over. Done. D-U-N. Done. Give me my trophy. Yeah, that was a nice way to close the season. Thanks, engineer. I don't think I met all of the sponsor objectives at once, but I know I met most of them a couple of times. Yeah, we'd better see some interest in me for the upcoming season. Because, bam, Raven West first place. That is how it's supposed to be done. Give me that achievement. First place, moving up in the world. That's a good enough trophy for me. And a good track record. So,
you've proven yourself to be a serious force in the world of Autosport. You've been invited to compete in your first grid championship. This is going to be a
did I already won it.
Do your best.
I didn't just get invited to it, I won it. So, you would have heard me complaining that I was going to do this 12 event race next episode. But now that I've moved up in the world, there's no reason for me to be driving hot hatches anymore. So I'm going to do this one instead next week, the Fanatec Pro GT Open. And then after that, I'm just going to be skipping Category C, moving straight up to Super Utes. You know, skipping the next Endurance... Oh wait, no, I already did that one. I'm going to be skipping the next Endurance Group 2, moving up straight up to Endurance Group 1. Moving away from Formula C to Formula B, etc. You get the idea. Moving up from muscle, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to be moving up from muscle and JDM to modified and that sort of thing. I dragged out this ending way too fast, so I'm just gonna end the video there. After getting over everything that happened in terms of how long it took me to actually get the recording to work, I ended up having a pretty alright time at the Grid Grand Slam. So, I'm going to bring the washing in from outside, just in case it storms again. And then I'm going to come back and record another episode.